Most of us carry these hidden passengers, echoes of past relationships, family pains, and missed closure. Because they are unseen, we often underestimate their power. They pull us backward, anchor our growth, and cloud our ability to form deeper connections. This conversation is an invitation to sit with those ghosts, not with fear, but with curiosity and compassion. It is by naming what lingers can we begin to release it. Remember this quote by Evinda Lepins that says, "In the unpacking process, you own it before you disown it." Emotional freedom is not by walking away from those suitcases, but by choosing to open it with courage. In this August 2025 edition of The Tides, we are looking at the topic, Ghosts in the Suitcase, Unearthing Emotional Baggage. I know many of us are drawn in by the topic, Ghosts in the Suitcase, Unearthing Emotional Baggages. It lingers in the mind like a whisper from somewhere deep. Now, what does it mean? Let's unpack it together. Woo! Now the ghost, now the ghost represents, not again. Okay, now the ghost represents unresolved emotions, past wounds, and silent memories that travel with us, hidden yet ever present. They are tucked inside the suitcase of our psyche, quietly influencing how we navigate or how we move through life. These ghosts aren't always dramatic. They come up or show up in form of hesitation, mistrust, and inability to truly embrace new beginnings. So in this month's episode of The Tides, we are unpacking that invisible suitcase many of us drag through life. We will explore how emotional baggage forms, how we can truly connect, and also release what no longer serves us. Emotional baggage forms when past experiences, especially painful, unresolved, or traumatic ones, are not fully processed or healed. I'll share with you 4 ways through which emotional baggage can unfold. Number 1 is unprocessed trauma. Events like abuse, neglect, loss, heartbreak, they can leave deep emotional imprints, and when these aren't fully addressed, they become internalized patterns that affect future behavior. 2 is repeated negative experiences. Constant criticism, abandonment, and betrayal, especially in childhood. This can create emotional templates, and this template becomes a default responses in adult relationships. 3rd one is suppressed emotions. When we are taught to toughen up or move on without expressing that pain, emotions get buried, and these emotions resurface later as either mistrust, anger, or as anxiety. And the 4th one is cognitive distortion. Like, you see, some experiences can warp our thinking. For example, someone who was cheated on can begin to believe that everyone leaves. After all, I'm not good enough. Those kind of beliefs, they carry that kind of beliefs into new relationships. Emotional baggage can quietly sabotage our ability to connect with others, whether we like it or not, even when we deeply crave closeness. That being said, could it be that the pain we've tucked away are silently building walls between us? In what ways do the wounds we haven't healed silently shape our future relationships? I'll be sharing 5 to 6 points on how this manifests. Number 1 is trust issues. If we are having emotional baggage or we've been hurt in the past, we become extra hyper vigilant, suspicious, or guarded. Then we have vulnerability, lack of vulnerability. Like, if opening up in the past can get me hurt, what's the point of opening up again? A lot of people struggle with being vulnerable, and I discussed that in the past episode of The Tides. Fear of vulnerability is there because of unresolved emotions that we haven't fully processed or healed from. Then we have this projection and overreaction. We tend to be too sensitive to a lot of things. If you see a pattern that looks like a situation that we've experienced in the past, it's either we lash out or we become quietly withdrawn. These are emotional baggages that, unknown to us, we have not fully processed the baggages, our emotional baggages from our past, the past us, the past hurts and the likes. Then we have this avoidance and withdrawal. Some people, you just see them, things are going on well, they have this friendship that is going on well, they have this relationship going on well, and all of a sudden this person withdraw or start to avoid, because they believe that when the emotion gets too intense, they can't handle it. They've been there before and it didn't go well. So the fear of, why will I go through this part, that emotion at that time, that intense emotions, they tend to avoid it, because they don't want to toll that part again. These are emotional baggages. Unknowingly to us, we are expressing it, and we are carrying it along with us everywhere we go. You see people, the withdrawal and then the avoidance method, that's what they do. Then we have self-sabotage. Like, some people they're just so pessimistic about themselves. Like, you see them telling, like, I'm not good enough, I'm not lovable, everybody leaves me. And because they carry that kind of mentality, if care is not taken, they tend to run into that same pattern. They tend to build friends that still repeat, that makes them repeat that makes them feel unsafe, unlovable. They don't know how to choose these healthy relationships that will make them feel seen and accept themselves just the way they are. Then we have communication breakdown. A lot of people don't know how to express what they want, their wishes. They just expect you to read them. They don't know how to fully express that this is what I want, or probably they shy away from. These are ways through which unresolved emotions can manifest in our day-to-day activities, in how we live, in our relationship with others. And like I said, life is about interactions. You cannot do life alone. If you are living in a place, you have a neighbor you will interact with. If you are in a workplace, a work setting, you have colleagues you will interact with. Whatever we do in life is about connection, it's about relationships, and it's about making healthy relationships, making informed decisions that will bring about self-esteem to us, and not like bringing ourselves down. So, but here's the good news anyways. Wait for the good news. If you've gotten to this segment, thank you for staying through. That shows you value what we are doing on this channel, and I will implore you to please subscribe to our channel if you haven't done so. Like, comment your thoughts. If you are somebody that have successfully unearthed emotional baggage, we want to hear from you. How was it? How were you able to navigate through? Kindly comment your thoughts, and also kindly share across all platforms to somebody you think this message will help. Now, coming to how we can have our emotional freedom from emotional baggage. The first thing I want us to know is we have to acknowledge the weight. It's not possible to release what you haven't named, so we need to recognize the patterns, the triggers, the emotional residue. These are what will help us. These are things that keep resurfacing, so we need to recognize that pattern, maybe that trigger, that emotional residue that keep resurfacing. You have to recognize it. And number 2 is practice self-compassion. Be kind to yourself. Replace harsh statements with kindness. Be kind to yourself. Be intentional about how you judge yourself. Don't be too hard on yourself. You've made mistakes in the past that you are not proud of. Yeah, that's fine. Be kind to yourself, and that is what. If you are struggling with being kind to yourself, that's what will lead us to the third point. That is, you have to seek support. Therapy, counseling, even wise mentors can hold our hands through these difficult situations. A lot of people are married today, yet they still carry their past trauma still haunts them, because they have not truly unearthed that emotional baggage. They still carry the unresolved emotions about. So seek support. Don't let us be too big to ask for help when we need to ask for help. Nobody wants to die in silence. We just seek support. Talk to someone, and seeking support really goes a long way. Therapy, counseling, mentor, irrespective of age. Mentor is not about maybe going to meet somebody who is older than you. Sometimes it could be somebody who was privileged to have healthy relationship from when they were growing up, and they are just skilled in mentoring people, out of that emotional baggage that they are carrying. Then the fourth one is forgive yourself and others. Forgiving yourself is not about like you are actually forgetting everything that has happened to you, but it's about you being intentional about releasing the grip, the hurt, the pain, the regret, releasing the grip it has on your spirit. So this goes a long way. You just need to forgive yourself, forgive others, so that you will be free. It's about freeing yourself from whatever emotional baggage you are carrying. You need to forgive yourself, you need to forgive others. It helps in the healing process, and you need to ensure you live in the present. A lot of times when we just sit down or we are sleeping, we are alone, some thoughts about, we just have a snap, a quick snap of what has been happening, what has happened to us in the past, which are not so palatable, but remind yourself to come to the moment. All things are passed away. Behold, all things has become new. These are things that we must be intentional about shutting down. You just have to shut it down. We can't stop it from resurfacing, but the moment we continue to shut it down, the more it will fade away quietly. It helps in the healing process, and it helps in unearthing whatever emotional baggage we are carrying. Then another thing is create new emotional habits. If there is, learn to be intentional about having healthy relationships anywhere you go. Everywhere you find yourself, we are all surrounded with people. At home, places of work, in our church, in mosques, wherever, in our places of worship, we are surrounded with people. Be intentional about having healthy friends, having healthy relationships. Anything that will make you that will help your self-esteem. Be intentional about creating that relationship. Create it for yourself. Make sure you are in a safe space. Whatever you are doing, create a safe space for you to thrive. And the last one is let's go through ritual. Sometimes when we release things into nature, it helps. Like, okay, where I am seated now, it's just like I love nature. I love scenery. I love just coming to refresh, to think, to meditate. So when you are releasing, it may be just journaling, it may be true journaling. I do that a lot, and it works for me. Like if something comes to my mind, and probably I don't want to speak with anybody at that time, I write it down. I let it go. By doing that, you are emotionally detaching yourself from your past. You write it down, you let it go, and sometimes you just feel like at the end of it, you feel relieved. So having your emotional freedom or unearthing emotional baggage is about identify it first, acknowledge, release, then begin to rebuild. Release whatever baggage is from the past and rebuild with, create new emotional habits and let go through ritual. I hope this helps. Ghost in the suitcase isn't just a metaphor, it is a mirror. It reflects the weight many of us carry about without realizing how much it shapes our thoughts, our choices, and our connections. Because only when we unpack what's hidden can we begin to walk freely and lighter. Therefore, open your suitcase and let's heal together. As you can see, I've opened mine. And I'm going to unpack the emotional baggages. I'm going to unearth the emotional baggages. So if this episode resonated with you, kindly share with someone carrying silent weight, and let's heal together. Let's heal loudly together. And don't forget to keep rising above the tide. I'll see you in our next edition of the Tides.